Hi guys, it is 9:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. A couple of things before we start today. As you can see, I'm sharing my entire screen with you. I'm doing that because I want to be able to move back between a web page and our PowerPoint presentation so that I can show you how I'm putting things together on the PowerPoint slides, because that's the purpose of our meeting today, is for me to help you to be able to do that. But in doing so, you're going to see our chat box. You're going to see participants if they pop in. I've closed the participant box so you won't see the names of the participants. But do keep in mind that anything that you put in the chat box is going to show on everyone's screen. So what I will ask is that as much as you can, hold the questions that you have that you would put in the chat box until the end. And then I will actually unshare my whole screen and just share a piece of my screen so that the chat box won't show. And then you can put your questions in there, or you can ask me your questions by unmuting if you need to ask a question, and that way your name won't come up in the chat next to the questions that you ask. If you would normally ask a question in the chat to everyone openly, then that's fine. You're welcome to put it in the chat box. But a lot of you asked questions privately when we're doing these, and so I just want you to be aware that today, because I'm sharing my whole screen with you, it is going to make a difference in what people can see and what they can't see. So please keep that in mind as we progress. Okay, I want to talk to you just a moment about where we stand with grades and assignments. We are getting very close to the end. We have crossed the halfway mark and are entering into kind of a big push for the last two big projects that we're going to do. And they're a piece, both of those projects hook together, and they're a piece of a three-tier project that we're working on in English 111. So the 011 class, I'll be helping to put these pieces together, making these PowerPoints. I'll also be sharing them with the 111 side of this, so everyone will be able to see what we're doing, and how to put things together as we progress. The big assignments are the annotated bibliography, which you are turning in this week, and that is where you looked generally at your information that you have for a career. So you didn't have to necessarily do the career you're going into, although it would make sense if you are thinking about a particular career path that you use that for the research for this assignment or these following assignments, so that you can learn more about it, because that's the whole point of this, is not only to help you to learn how to do an annotated bibliography and how to do a PowerPoint presentation and how to present information to someone and how to put together a research paper, but it's also about giving you some insight into where you're going career wise, because that's one of the things that we want to do. We want to, while you're here in school and you're making these decisions, we want to make sure that you are taking the right path to get where you want to go, and that you understand even better where you're going. So hopefully you've chosen something that's going to inform that in some way. But if you didn't, that's fine too. If you just wanted to learn something cool about a job that you'll never do, but you think it's fascinating, and that's fine too. I really, it doesn't matter to me what career you choose, but you started with the annotated bibliography. You did some preliminary research on the career itself, just in general. And now for the PowerPoint presentation, we're actually going to make we're actually going to kind of funnel down a little bit and get more specific. So for the PowerPoint presentation, you're going to have to choose something you found when you were researching for that annotated bibliography, a focus within your general career. So you're gonna, a specialty, so to speak. So you're gonna pick a specialty within your field. And in some fields, it may not be called a specialty. It may just be a path that you can take under that career umbrella. Okay, so you need to make that decision, which path now you want to explore in more depth. So you've looked at your career generally and you've thought, oh, wow, if I pick nursing as my general career, maybe I have narrowed it down to either going into the more administrative side of nursing or going into emergency room nursing. Both of those sounded really interesting to me. So those are both specialty areas within under the broader umbrella of nursing. And that's what you should be doing now. You should be focusing in on one or two specific areas that you want to look more deeply into. The PowerPoint presentation is going to be about researching that specialty or researching a couple of specialties, but no more than two specialties in your area. And for most of you, you'll be looking at one particular specialty. So you're going to look at that specialty or two in the PowerPoint and you're going to explain it to us. You're going to tell us all about that particular career path. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that as I'm showing you how to put together your PowerPoint presentation. And then you'll get the full assignment next week on our site. But for today, I just want to give you an overview of what it's going to look like, what your PowerPoint's going to have to look like, and how to put it together. That's the big thing that we're here for today, is to really hone in on how to put a PowerPoint presentation together, because some of you will have never done this before. And I want to make sure that you are able to create a PowerPoint presentation that is indeed functional and professional. So we're not going to use any bells and whistles in this, but we do want to make it look very professional and very clean when we are doing it, because this in addition to the assignment itself, this is also a chance for us to improve our skills in a way that we deliver information in today's world. And for better or worse, some of us like Prezi or like some other type of presentation tool now more than PowerPoint. But the fact of the matter is PowerPoint is still the most used presentation type. And so that's what I'm going to work with today. You can also use Google Slides is what it's called. And I'm going to use the PowerPoint, but when you're using Google Slides, it works very much the same way. Your buttons may be in different places, but for the most part, you're going to be able to use today's PowerPoint instruction and apply that to Google Slides if you use Google Slides instead of PowerPoint. Either way, you should be able to find the same pieces to be able to put this together. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. What you see on my screen now is I put just kind of some bare bones stuff into a PowerPoint so that I could begin to share that with you and show you how yours is going to look, what yours is going to look like when you start building it. And then you also see, I've pulled up just an example page that you can use when you are starting to put together your information for your actual PowerPoint about your specialty. All right. So I have my first slide right here. And all I did for this was just pull up a PowerPoint presentation by going up here to File and choosing that I wanted to do a new presentation. And then I just chose a blank document. Okay, I just chose the blank PowerPoint, which is what I recommend you start with, but you don't have to. You can choose one of the ones that are already put together if you want to do that. One of the ones that already has a background on it, you're fine with that. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I always start with just the blank document, the blank PowerPoint, and then work from there. And then I came in, so that brought me just a blank PowerPoint with just one blank slide that just had a place to put a title and a place to put additional information. So I put in the title of the presentation, how to make a PowerPoint, and then I just put in my information that would be here. Now, if you were doing this, this is what your opening slide is going to look like. But when I look at this, I realize that I don't have the date. Remember, for MLA, part of what we have to have up in the corner here is the date. So I'll put, I don't really even know what today is. Let's say the 5th. Okay. So you just put the date in here and click out of it. And so now this is my front slide, and it has all the information that's necessary. This is what yours will look like as well. It'll have all this information, your title, your name, our class, our date, and then the title of, I put the title of, this is your title. This will be, I'm saying, let me tell you about my career as an example title. Okay. All right. So one of the things that you're going to find when you get the full instructions next week is that you cannot have a blank white PowerPoint. So this is an unacceptable background. So what do I do about that? Let me bring this over just a bit so you can see my whole thing here. Let's see if I can make this a little bit smaller, since I asked you guys not to chat anyway, so it won't be in our way. All right. You will see on the PowerPoint, this is under the Home tab. So if you come right up here to Home, okay, this gives you your basic commands. And I want to click this Design Ideas because I have to do something to this white background because I can't just use white. So if I click on Design Ideas, watch what happens over here on the side. It gives me all these really cool kind of ideas for what I might do to make my PowerPoint. And what I want to think about when I'm doing this is, okay, I have to make sure that it's professional looking. I don't want to crowd my slides. I don't want to make a mess of my slides. And I don't want something, if I was doing nursing, I might choose this one. So I might look for a background that kind of makes sense for for what I'm going to be doing. But there are some other ideas here, and you can click see more design ideas. If there's nothing on there that you like, it might give you some other ideas. Okay. Give you some things that you can look at, how you can design it. And if you choose something, like if I choose this one right here with this icon, and I don't like this icon, I can then change it. So let me just pick that one just to show you. So see what that did to my slide. Now let's say I don't really like this icon. I can click on the icon and I can right click and I can say, actually, I don't think change graphic right here. So I want to change the graphic because I don't like that graphic. And I can do that from a file, which would go to my files. If I want to use like a picture of me or something on the front page, on the first one, maybe I want my picture on the intro slide so that the class knows who I am and what I'm doing. I can do it from online sources. This goes out to like Bing or whatever you have it hooked to go to for your online sources. I can do it from icons or from a clipboard if I've saved something. So because this is an icon, I'm going to say from icons because I just want to change my icon. So I'm going to go in here to icons. And now this is going to give me all of these. And I'm doing emergency management specialty. That's what I'm going to be looking at. That's what I chose for the career for this presentation. So it's medical in nature. So I'm going to go to the medical icons. And I'm going to look and see if there's anything in here that I like that I think represents what I'm getting ready to do. And I think, yeah, well, I could use one of these because I am doing emergency management specialist and I'm thinking about maybe doing some HR stuff. So I could use that, but I don't know if that's what I want to use or not. So I can just click around in here a little bit and see if there's anything that looks like something that I may want to use that makes sense for me to use on this page. There's tons of different ones in here that you can choose from. I can also search for something and I could say emergency. And these are the ones that come up for emergency. And I think, you know what? I think maybe I'm just going to use this one. So I can click that and I can say insert. And see that changes and I can just click off of it. And that's created a new type of PowerPoint graphic here. I can also change the shape outline. See, this outline is blue. Let's say I don't like the shape outline. Maybe I want to make it white instead. I can do that. So you have lots of ways to play with this until you get it looking like you want to. If I don't like the white as far as the outline goes, I can go in here and say, well, let me try black. Maybe I like black better. No, I think actually, I like the white. I think I'm going to do the white with it because it goes with my writing over here, right? And if I don't want this to be on two lines, then I can just click this and bring this down. I can bring this over and I can bring it up. See how the red lines are showing me how things are. They're showing you where they are in respect to other things on your PowerPoint. So if you can play with that until you get it right where you want it to be. And it's based on your box, which is why I made my box a little bit smaller, because it's based on the sides of your box where it's telling you. And I want that to be all on one line right there. So I think that's good. And I want to move this up a little bit. And I want to make sure that it lines up over here. And so it is right there. So that's how I want to do that. Okay, I like that. I think that's going to work. That's good. If I wanted to make this a little bit bigger, just because I think this is an important icon, maybe I want to move it down just a little bit, just for the looks. All right, so now I have my PowerPoint, my first PowerPoint slide. It looks professional. The colors are soft. I'm using an icon. I'm not using anything that doesn't make any sense. It makes sense because I'm getting ready to tell you about emergency management specialist, an emergency management specialist. So that makes sense, right? But then if I want to put a new slide in next, if I haven't put any other slides in, then this new slide with the X on it right here, I can click next to here and I can pick what I want my slide to look like. Maybe the next one I want to do a picture with a caption over here, or I want a blank one again, or just a title. Maybe I'm going to put a graph on this slide. So I just want just a title here so that I can put my graph in. Or maybe I want, this is the title slide. This is the one that I used for the first slide. So you can make some choices, or you can just say, just add a slide. And if you say add a slide, it just adds one where you can add a title and then you can add your text down here. And you can click on these to add different items, a graph, a table, a picture, something from the web. So you have some different options. And if you hold your cursor over it, it tells you this is for an icon. This one is a 3D model from online. So you can choose to do some different, choose to add some different things. You're going to have to add a graph or a chart or something into this presentation. So this may be a good place for you to add a chart or something like that. So whatever you want. And then if you put too many of these in, you can just hit delete on your keyboard. You can just highlight it like this and hit delete on your keyboard, and it will take that slide out. Okay, so I already have a second slide in here. Now, what I have done, you can see here, this is a picture that I have gotten from this page over here. So if I scroll down over here, you can see all of the information that I have for emergency. And the first thing I want to talk about, the first thing I'm telling you is kind of where we've been. So I decided I wanted just this piece right here. So I just came in here and did a screenshot. And for me to do a screenshot, and I'm not sure where yours is, I have a Mac. So somewhere in your computer, you probably have a snip tool or a capture tool, something along those lines. For me, it's under my just under my desktop where I can go and pick it, and I can do this screenshot. And when I choose that, I can choose to just take a screenshot of whatever I want to take a screenshot of on my screen. And then down here, you see, I just click capture and it captures that. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it because I already have mine, but you will need to find where that is on your computer. And for PCs, I think it might be called snipping tool. I think it might be your snipping tool. And so you can take these pictures. And so I've put this picture, I've got this picture, and I've already written on my slide. So my first slide, for purposes of talking to you guys, is where we have been. You guys you chose a type of career. We talked about that. That's what you did your annotated bibliography on, whatever career, whether that was nursing or design or whatever it was. You've chosen your career. You did some research, some general research. And then, so what you found when you were doing that is kind of what some of the specialties are within the career. And then, so what I'm telling you with my picture here then is, so I chose this emergency. Let's go back up here. I chose emergency management specialist, and that's what I did my annotated bibliography on. In general, what is emergency management and what can I do with that? So I researched emergency management. I did all, that's what my annotated bibliography was about. And so now I need to narrow that down and find the career paths within emergency management and narrow that down. So that's why I came to this page, payscale.com. It's a great page. I recommend it for you guys to come in here and put your own career in here to see what this looks like. And I've discovered that with my general search, emergency management, I could potentially, some of the career paths that I could take, I could become an emergency manager, and human resource generalist, or human resource specialist. And so I have to decide if any of these are paths that I want to explore, or if I want to keep looking and see what other kind of paths I can explore. For the purposes of learning how to do the PowerPoint, I'm just going to assume that I'm going to do one of these three, and I'm going to tell you next which one of these I'm going to choose. Okay, so I have this, but it's as big as when I copied it, when I cut it and I pasted it in here, which I did by going to picture and then choosing picture from file. And then that took me out to my file where I had saved this. And then I clicked on it and it came in here. Okay, so you can get picture from file right here. And then when you click on picture from file, your file is going to come up. For me, it was in recents right here. Wasn't that one? I don't know. I have a lot of screenshots. I'm working on a lot of different things. So it was yesterday when I did it, it was up here simply because I had just done it. So it was under my recents. When you clip yours may be up here under your recents, and then you just pick it. You can double click it and then it'll come right in here just like that. Now I'm going to get rid of that because I obviously don't want that in here. But now if you click design ideas, when I brought that in, it brought the design ideas up. But if you click design ideas again, because notice this is on top of my words and I don't want that. I need them to be separated. So I can pick one of these. I can look down the side here. That's kind of nice. Where we have been, it shows this, talks about this, has my down here, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. That's kind of nice. Let's see. That's kind of nice because it brings it out a little bit, but it doesn't show. Does it show everything? See, it doesn't show all my words here. And you have to be careful about things like that. That's some of the things you have to, when this does design ideas, sometimes it'll cut off part of your picture. And if it's important that you see it all, then you want to be careful that that's not what you choose. Okay, so let's see. That's kind of nice. I like that. It has a little line over here, which just gives it a little bit of pizzazz. Where we've been adds a little line under here. This is big enough to see, but I still am cut off a little bit right here. But I could talk about this less common. I could actually do that. This one puts it underneath. So you can see the whole thing, but it's underneath. It's a little bit dark. I can't really read it. So I don't think I want to use that. Let's see one more, what else they have here. See if there's anything else that I think might. Let's see what this one looks like. So this one just has this. That's a little bit small, but I could work with that because I could make that bigger. It at least has all of my information down here. So it's added some bullets to this, which is nice. I like that. So that's a possibility. Or I could come down here. This one matches what I have up here if I want to be consistent with that. But I think the colors are good. I think the colors are good in this one. It matches kind of what I'm going for here with the blues. And I have those same kind of colors in here and around here. So I'm going to close this. So this becomes a little bit bigger. I like this. It has the marks in the back, kind of looks nice. But I want to make this a little bit bigger just because I want these words to be bigger. So I'm going to highlight them and I'm going to come up here to where it says headings and I'm going to make this bigger. Try 44. That's still not big enough. How about 54? Yeah, I'm going to make that a 54 and make it that big. And I have plenty of room here to make this bigger as well. It's an 18 right now. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to try 24. Yeah, 24 is good. That looks like a good size for that. And I also think I'm just going to bring it over just a little bit and see how our red lines line up. I want it to be even. And make sure that's the same. But now I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. I have to stay within this box because the box is going to be stationary because it's part of the slide that I chose. So I'm going to pull that in there. Maybe I'll pull this back over just a little bit. I like that. So you just kind of have to eyeball it and see what you like. But I like that because when this is big on my screen, when I make this, when I'm doing the presentation and I'm only doing one screen, if I said play from this slide, I think you would be able to read that. So if I said, if I went to slideshow, if you go to slideshow and you go to set up slideshow, change it from presented by speaker full screen to browse by an individual. Okay, because this is going to make it not fill your whole screen. It'll be an individual window, and I still want room to see my screen around it. So browse by individual window, and I say okay, and then I say play from current slide because I just want to see this slide. So I'm going to say play from current slide, and I look at that. Yeah, I can read that. This is a nice size. I can read everything that's on here. It's clear. I have the whole picture in there. I have my pieces. Right, so then I can just hit ESC on my keyboard, which is escape, or I can right click here and I can say in show, and that'll just take me back here to work on this. Now, part of what you're going to have to do when you start this next week, when you get your instructions for this, part of what it's going to say is that you have to use your notes area. Now, your notes area is down here. Click to add notes. I can make this area bigger by clicking right here and moving this up so that I can see the notes area and what I'm typing in here. And what you need to put in the notes area is whatever you would say when this slide was on the screen. With a PowerPoint presentation, you need to use bullets and pictures or graphs, but not a ton. Notice this slide is not messy looking. It doesn't have a ton of stuff on it. Okay. I want to point out before I talk any more about the notes section, I forgot to mention this little, see this little note down here? This is telling you where I got this picture. You have to tell me where you got your graphics, where you got your pictures. If you use a picture from online, now this one up here, this is an icon. This comes right from PowerPoint itself. You don't have to tell me where you got that. But if you use a graphic, remember, I grabbed this one from this web page over here. It's because I did that. I have to tell you where I got it. And so you can see down here, and it says pay scale. Pay scale is the name of this site. So I have to tell you where I got it, the name of the site where I got it. And then emergency management specialist. That is the name of this page, emergency management specialist. Okay. And then the year 2020, I got the year down here, right here, 2020 pay scale. Okay, so again, we see the name of the page. and it's 2020, so I have to tell you what year it is, and then I have the URL. So to get the URL, I just came back over here and I just highlighted this and I copied it by hitting Control C on my keyboard. So Control C and Control C grabbed that, and I just came over here and I right clicked and I said paste. It doesn't say paste right now because I don't have it copied, but I just pasted it. To paste it in here, you could also just put your cursor in here and hit Control V. V is in Victor, and it will paste. I don't know why V is paste. C is copy, but V is paste. I don't know, whatever, but V is paste. So you can hit Control V on your keyboard and it will paste it in. And then you want this somewhere just so that we know that that's where you got this graphic on this page. A lot of instructors will have you bring it right up here so it's right next to or even on the on here. And if you do that, you're probably going to want to make it smaller so it's going to actually sit on here like this. You could do that so that people know where you got it from. Some like it right underneath it, so you can line it up there if you want to, like that. And then others like it at the bottom, either bottom right or bottom left, or somewhere close to where it is. It doesn't really matter where it is as long as I can tell that you have given credit for this. And the little squiggly lines will go away under it once it's on your actual presentation. You won't see those anymore. Okay, all right. So don't forget those. Back to the notes. Click to add notes. So what would I say to an audience about this particular slide when I had it up? Well, what I want you to know is that we did the general broad research, and now we're narrowing our topic, and these are the career paths that I found. So I would say, first, let me tell you about where we have been where I have been in my research. Notice I used I. You can use I in this because you would be talking to an audience. If we were in a classroom, you would be talking. And I told you, you have to give me a 1 hour presentation. You have to do, well, not a 1 hour. Let's say I tell you, you have to do a 30-minute presentation on your career of choice, on your specialty, on a specialty within your career of choice. And you were going to stand up in front of the classroom and you were going to show these PowerPoint slides and you were going to talk to me. That's what needs to be in this note section. So on the first slide in the note section, I would write, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Bird. Today I'm going to be presenting to you how to make a PowerPoint. Let's begin. And then I click to this slide. So then in the notes section here, I would say, I first want to talk a little bit about where we have been. We spent some time over the last couple of weeks researching and putting together an annotated bibliography for a career of our choice. And doing that research, I researched emergency management specialist because that's the field that I want to go into. Now I need to choose a specialty. And so I went out to payscale.com and I found that there are 3 career paths that I could take for this career. And those are emergency manager, human resource general specialist, and human resources specialist. So I'm going to talk to you next about what I am going to do with this information. So that would be written down here in the notes section, just like you're speaking. Okay. Then your next slide, I have where we're going. So now we're digging deeper. Choose a specialty within your general area of career interest. And this is what you're going to explain. So you're going to explain why you chose the specialty, a general description, paths to and upward in the specialty, schools that offer programs for a degree, wages and benefits you can expect to gain from the beginning as entry level, and then upwards the tall end. Okay. And then a wrap up, which is going to talk to us about what you've learned and what else you'd like to learn, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll get more on all of this in the actual instructions, which you will get for next week's when you begin your PowerPoint next week. So you'll get the more on this. I just put this in here so that I could show you how to put together the slides, because the purpose of our mini lesson today is more about working on the slides than it is the presentation itself. Although I'm giving you some little bits of, I'm giving you a little bit of peek into what you're going to be doing starting next week for your presentation itself. This is what you're going to be doing. This is actually this comes directly out of the assignment itself that you'll be looking at next week. All right, so now I think, okay, well, here we go. We have a blank white slide again. So I have to decide what I'm going to do with this. Well, you notice there's no design ideas button over here now because I went to slideshow. Well, when I went to slideshow, I brought up the slideshow information here. I have to go back over here to home. Okay. When I bring home back up, I see all of this again. So now I can go to design ideas and I get some ideas that I can use on where we're going. So if any of those look good to me and I want to put them together with any of that, I could hit more. And notice when I hit design ideas, I'm getting these ideas of things that go with the PowerPoint. The colors, the color scheme is a color scheme that matches with what I have chosen. So I don't have to do a lot of thinking about whether or not it's going to go together or not, because PowerPoint has already said, oh, this is kind of the feel of what you want to do. So we're going to kind of go with this when I give you design ideas. Okay, you can always add shapes into this. Let's say I wanted to make this a little bit fancier with a shape. So let's say I want to do, I'm just going to use a box. I want to put this in a box. So I could go like this. I could put this in a box because I think that's kind of cool looking. And I want to offset it a little bit. Maybe I want it to match either side here. So I want to just eyeball it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put this right in here like that. Notice that it is dark and it is on top of my words. So there are some things that I can do. First off, I can go over here because now this is giving me design ideas up here, things that I can do. I can do this where I just use an outline around a white box. Maybe I just want an outline around what it says there. Maybe I want to use a different color. Maybe I want to use gold. Maybe I want it to be black. Okay? You can make these decisions, whatever you want to do. So I like black. That's pretty cool. And then I can go here and I can choose gradient. I can make it more of a gradient kind of color. And if I don't like that, I want to go back to what I had before. I can hit this little undo effect and it goes back to black. Okay. I can go back here again and I can say, okay, I didn't really like that. There's some textures here. I could put it on a texture if I wanted to. I could do more fill colors. I could go right here to picture. I could get a picture right from my thing, or I could just leave it as is. I can outline or no outline. So if I don't want an outline around it, right now it had a white outline, but I can tell it I don't want an outline at all. Or I can put a different color outline around it. I can pick one from our theme and I can put that kind of outline around it. I can say none. I can do some presets. I can change the way it looks here. I can give it a reflection at the bottom if I want to. I can take that away if I don't like it. I can make it glow. I could maybe make like some blue around it. So see how the glow is around the outside of that. I can do that. I can right click on it. And here is where I can send it to the back. Okay, because one of the things that you can see here, so I'm going to send it to the back. And then I'm going to highlight because I have some words in here somewhere, right? But you can't see them because it's black. So I'm going to make my words. I'm going to go back to home and I'm going to make my words here white so that I can see them. Okay. See, you can play with this and do all kinds of really cool things with it. And then when you say design idea again, now it's going to use what you have here, and it's going to put that box in there and give you some different ideas of what you can do with that. But I'm going to not do any of their design ideas. I just want this to be just kind of a plain page. I like plain. I think plain makes sense. So make my box a little bit bigger on the sides here with my little stuff around them, make my words a little bit bigger just because I want to draw your attention to what it is we're going to do. I'm gonna move my box up just a little because I want everything to fit within here nicely and line up. So that's all I'm gonna do with this one. Maybe I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger just because I want it to stand out with the other, and maybe I'll bring it up just a little bit. And I could do something like I could make this, I could do different colors. I can actually I can change it to a different type of font. I don't think I'm going to do any of that though. I think I'm just going to leave it as it is. Maybe I can look in here. Maybe there's a font that's kind of cool looking, maybe like Chalk Duster or something, just so it looks kind of cool for this. Okay. So, and I'm just kind of playing here so that you can see the different things that you can do to make your PowerPoint more interesting, but also staying professional looking plain. You want people to pay attention to what you're doing, but you don't want it to be so crazy that it looks gaudy or full. And then again, click to add notes down here. What am I going to say to you while I'm on this page? Well, I'm going to say, all right, so the specialty that I decided to go with will go on this slide, right? So I'm going to talk about if I was doing this one to you, I might write down here, if I wasn't talking to you, if I was just putting this in here, I might say, all right, so on this slide, you need to talk to me about where you're going. This is going to be the slide, this is kind of, think of this kind of like your thesis statement in PowerPoint. This builds the roadmap for your reader to tell your reader what your next slides are going to be about. You're going to tell them exactly the order in which you're going to discuss the various topics that are listed on this slide. Right? So I would write that down here in my notes, because what you're doing is you're basically giving me, you're doing an English 111 presentation, but you're just doing it in PowerPoint form because we can't be together in the classroom. Okay. So you're going to tell me down here in the notes that. And then you're going to go and you're going to say, okay, so the first thing on here is why you chose the specialty. So then on this slide, you would put in another slide and you would put in why you chose the specialty. And then you're going to add information in here as to why you chose the particular thing that you did. And so you're going to want to think about maybe you've always been interested. Maybe I say interested in emergencies and disasters. Woo. All right. Interested in emergencies and interested in emergencies and disasters. Want to be involved with handling disaster aftermath. good at planning, enjoy coordinating, and work to work with those who are deciding course of action. Okay. And then I would do the same thing I had done before. I would choose a design idea, or I would put in a picture, or I might say down here, as I discovered in my research, my passions closely align this job or this career. Blah, 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 whatever. So that's what I'm gonna put down here. Okay. And now I think I'm gonna add an icon in here just because I'm really good at planning, coordinating. I want to bring something in that brings this back to matching up here. So let me see what they have in the design ideas. Let me see if they have anything that actually maybe has an icon on it or something. And I look on here, let me see some more designs, see if they have anything else that might have something on it that I think I want. And I kind of scroll through here. I'm not seeing a lot. Oh, but that's kind of nice. That kind of brings the colors back in from the first one. I could use that. Oh, this brings it back in. This has the same things, but differently. I think I'm going to go with that. I really like that. That kind of reminds us of the background, and it does something kind of cool with this. That's kind of fun. And I could actually make this a little bit bigger, I think. Let's see. There we go. I kind of like it like that. So it's 2 rows. And then I actually can make this bigger also. I think I can at least go to 24. Maybe I can even go to 32 on this. And I could, if I bring this over a little bit. Yeah, I like that. So then I have my information on here as to why you chose the specialty. You're going to have to, and so then you put down here what you would say. But notice again what I'm doing. I'm not making my PowerPoints crowded. This is where you talk down here in the notes section. This is you're just giving your audience a preview of what you're going to be talking about. Okay. And then here, I'm going to need another slide in here, because what I did was I went to this slide and I just took each of these topics that I'm going to talk about and I made a slide for each one of them. They don't have anything on them yet, but I wanted to be able to remind myself of the order that I was going to go in when I was creating my PowerPoint presentation. And so the order that I'm going to go in is the same order that's on here. So I just went in and made slides for each of those. I recommend that you do that just so that we know just so you know when you're building your slide, you remind yourself of the order you need to go in, because you can add slides in. Like for this one, why you chose the specialty. Right? So that's the first thing that I have to talk about in here is why I chose it. And I chose it because I'm interested in emergencies and disasters. I want to be involved with handling, disaster aftermath. I'm good at planning. I enjoy coordinating. I like to work. I don't really need a whole lot more there. That explains why I chose the specialty. But let's say I wanted to go into, let's say I wanted to go a little bit more deeply into what this really means. And I don't want to just talk about it down here. I might want to add another PowerPoint or two in here. Maybe I want to add one more. If I want to do that, I can just say new slide. I want it after this slide. So I'm going to highlight this slide because I want it to come right in here. And then I just say new slide. See what that did? That put a new slide in here. Or let me delete that one. Let me go back to this one. Let's say I want, because I'm still going to be talking about why I chose the specialty, I want the next slide to look just like this one for consistency, because I'm still talking about the same topic and I'm still going to be giving the same kinds of information. So I want my next slide to look like this one. I'm going to change the wording on it, my bullet points, but I want the same layout. You can come right here and where it says new slide, the little chevron or drop down right here, you can say duplicate slide. When I click that, it gives me the exact same slide next. And then I can just come in here and wipe out these bullets and then say, parents involved or involvement with emergency management. Maybe one of the big reasons that you want to go into this is because your parents or someone that you've always looked up to is in this and you have watched them, or maybe you've done internships and you fell in love with it. Maybe there's that really, really one passionate thing that made you want to go into this area. And so maybe you want to put that on this slide, and maybe you want to add a picture of you and that person. So you could go to picture and you could do picture from file, and you could go in here wherever you have a particular picture. Let's see, I might have something here in photos I could put in there, and you find the picture and all you have to do is double click it and it brings the picture in, and then see, it gives you some ideas over here of things that you can do if you want to do differently. Let's say I want to use the same background because I want it to be consistent. So maybe I choose that. So, you may just want to put that picture in there, and then you could talk down here in this. So up here, you said it's going to bring over everything that you said down here. Well, you don't want this one to say the same thing. So you're going to take this out. And instead, you're going to say, my inspiration was whatever. And then you can talk about who your inspiration was, what your inspiration was. Is this starting to make sense to you as far as making the presentation? I'm not going to spend too terribly much time on this, but I want you to understand the ability to put together this presentation in a way that is going to be interesting to your audience. Okay, that's going to be important. You have to know your audience are people who really want to know, people in your age group, or people who are studying right now in your same field, who want to know more about this specialty and why you chose this specialty. It's almost like you're allowing them to interview you in parts of this so that they can know more about you and why you chose the specialty and what you found out about the specialty. Okay. So that's going to be that part. And then you're just going to kind of go through the general description. And so there's one down here, wages and benefits. So when I need to talk about wages and benefits, see, I can wait. I don't really know what I want to say up here yet, but I know what I want to put in wages and benefits. So I want to come back over here to this page because they talked in here, the popular skills, average salaries, so emergency response, project management, training development, some of the average salaries for those, strategic planning, disaster recovery, how popular they are, skills that affect it, things that I need to be able to do. Here's some more on the career paths that you have. Here are some actual job listings. That's part of what you're going to be doing over here is you're going to be looking at some of the jobs listed and the details in those, pay by different locations, where you want to live. You can come and look that up in here. So it's going to be a really important page if you choose to use this. Payschool.com has a lot of different things. Now it does take you out sometimes to other pages, and you have to be mindful if you use the other pages to make sure that you cite them on your reference slide as well. And you'll get more information on that next week in the actual assignment. Okay, here's actually some blog posts from that talk about this particular topic. And you can actually come in here and you can create a free pay report, find your market. But what I want right now for this page that I want to start with is this, the average salary for an emergency management specialist. Okay, this is based on 515 salaries. So I want to talk about this a little bit in my PowerPoint presentation on this. So I'm going to choose my screenshot. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to screenshot this. Right? I'm going to capture. It comes up here on my screen right here. And I'm just going to click done so you can see where it comes on mine. Then I'm going to come back over here, wages and benefits. I'm going to say overview of average Okay. And I don't want it to have a bullet point. I'm just going to take that out because I don't want a bullet point in this. And that's all I want that to say. So I'm just going to make this smaller just because I want to put a picture in here. So then I want to put that I just took. So I'm going to go to picture from file. Okay. And I'm going to go to recents. And it comes up right here in mine. I don't know where to show in yours. And I'm going to say insert. Now it's going to insert this in here. Okay, I'm going to move it down a little bit because average. Now it's going to give me these design ideas over here. So I could like click and say, it's kind of cool with that on there, but it was kind of busy. Maybe I'll go something not quite so busy. That doesn't show it all, so I can't have that. And you got to get the whole thing, remember? So you want to make sure that you're not choosing something that cuts part of it off and doesn't allow you to see the whole thing, because that's important for what we're doing. And a lot of these seem to be cutting a lot of it off. Let's see. So there's not, so it might be a little bit difficult just because it's cutting off our numbers. So there are a couple of things that we can do for this. And that's all they have. So I'm going to go back to my original because I want to make sure that everything's on it. I can shrink this down on here. So that it's smaller here. And then see if I get some different design ideas that has it all on it. There may or may not be. Okay, so see there is on this one now. By shrinking it down, I told it that now it's taking it less of it on the slide, so that's given us a little bit more information. So that's getting most of it. Some of them are still not getting enough of it. This particular one does. So I could choose to use it, or I could choose to use none of them if I decide that none of them are quite right for me on this particular slide, just based on what I'm putting on it, right? Because once you choose it, it cuts it, whatever it's cut off stays cut off. you can't uncut it once you choose the slide. All right, so I'm going to leave this slide. I like that it has a little bit of a background, but I don't really like that it doesn't really match my background. So I can get rid of the design ideas, and instead I can say, I can just go on here and I can say right there, up here, I can say that I want to format background. Okay. And I can say gradient fill, and I can make some changes here. I can say hide background graphics. I can go back to solid fill. I can make that more transparent. That's not going to let me because we chose that. Right, so it's doing it differently for this. Let's go back to design ideas. Actually, let's get rid of that design altogether. I don't know if it's going to let me go back far enough. All right, it's not going to let me now. I did too many things. That's okay. I like this okay. So for now, I'm just going to leave that there. I probably would play with it some more and just get rid of that background just because I don't think this is sleek and clean enough, and I don't think it matches kind of the very soothing background that I was going for. And since it's not letting me go back far enough to get rid of it, I'm not able to actually get rid of the background itself. Okay. And I could just delete it and put this information back in another slide, which is probably what I would do if I was doing it. But it gives you an idea of the fact that you can skip around, which my point was you can skip around on the slides, right? So when I'm on wrap up down here, I know I also need a reference slide. So I'm just going to put a new slide in here. I'm going to call it references or works cited. We don't do references, we do works cited. And then in here, I would start putting my sources. This would definitely be a source. All right. Well, I know up here I already got the information for this source because I used a picture right here. So I'll go back to this slide. I'm gonna snag this information. I'm gonna copy it. Go down here on my works cited slide. I'll put the information in here. I'm gonna make it a decent size because now it has I don't want it to be 8 anymore because now it has a much bigger purpose. I'll make it 14. It doesn't have to be huge. And I don't need bullet points. So I'm going to get rid of the bullet point. Okay. And then every time I use a new page or article or whatever I use, I'm going to immediately come in here and put it on my works cited slide. Now you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to use the hanging indent like what we have learned for our works cited page because PowerPoint doesn't do that. That's okay. You just have to have them in here and you have to have them in alphabetical order on your works cited page. And on your works cited page, I don't care if it stays plain white. You certainly can say design idea and choose something fairly, something that isn't, you could choose something like that so that it was, so that it goes with what you're doing. You might even want to do something like that or something like that to make it kind of cool, whatever. I don't care. And you're just going to put each time you do a new one, you're going to put it on here on your works cited page. And as you'll learn next week, you're going to have several different sources for this. So those will end up on your works cited page. Okay. All right. That's it. That's all I have for you today. You can send me any questions that you may have. You can email those to me. You'll get the actual instructions next week when we start for this. But this is what you're doing, and this is what it's going to look like when you're finished, and you'll just be filling in the slides as you need them. It doesn't have a particular page count, but most of the time this ends up being somewhere in the 15, 16 slide range, because for some of these, you'll use more than one slide. I may need more than one slide to talk about wages and benefits, because this is just an average kind of. When I look at this slide, this just gives an average base salary. Maybe I want to talk then on the next slide. Maybe I want to insert another slide and I want to actually talk about the particulars of what I found when I was looking at job ads on what I'm actually seeing the intro level, what you can expect as an entry level amount, and then how high you can possibly go with your wages and benefits. So that would take me another slide, still talking about wages and benefits. Okay, so you have to, the number of slides that you'll have will exceed the number of slides I have here, just simply because I just gave you kind of the bare bones of what you're going to have to, the top titles of what you're going to have to include. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Again, thank you for all your hard work, everything that you're doing. You guys are doing a fantastic job so far, and I look forward to seeing you in the discussion boards very soon. All right, take care, guys.